Hey, welcome back to our fourth part of our series on baking bread. Very exciting. We did switch kitchens, as you can see. We are here at Schwartzman in the live kitchen display, and we will utilize steam oven and ovens for the baking process tomorrow. But let's check on our sourdough starter. So let's see how it did overnight. A little hissing sound. Okay. Okay, very good. So as you can see right here, we have a nice doughy flavor. It's nice and creamy and rich. So what we will need today is actually very little of the starter. I'm going to double recipes. The regular single recipe calls for 12 grams of the starter, 120 grams of rye flour, and 120 grams of the warm water. But since I want to make several breads, I'm going to double everything up. So let's get started. Let's get our bowl right here. Then we will add the 24 grams of the sourdough starter. It's actually not a lot. It's literally 1 spoon. And then we want to add 120, 240 grams of the rye flour. And of course the 240 grams of the warm water, and 30 degrees Celsius should do the trick. That's it. And today, of course, we need more space, bigger bowl, more space. We want to continue just like we have in the last couple of days. Mix this very gently. Make sure that we don't have any dry spots, and make sure everything dissolves nicely. And it's a nice creamy texture, basically, just like the previous days. So we will get this ready. And what we want to do is, before we start baking, you kind of want to time this process here. You want to give this about 13 to 15 hours of time. And of course, we want to make sure this is nice and even. So like this. Actually, let me get to the close-up camera over here. Like this. Nice. I got 2 cameras now. So let's give this 13 to 15 hours and come back to this tomorrow and continue with our recipe. Yes, today is bread baking day. So we have our ingredients, which is of course our sourdough. Get started from yesterday. We need a couple more ingredients. So let's go through these since it's a little more complex today. So I'm going to go through this step by step with you. So the first thing that we're going to need is of course more rye flour. Yes, because today what we're going to do is a typical German/Austrian mix bread, which is 60% rye, 40% wheat based. And what we need today is, I'm going to double the recipes of course, but I'm always going to start with a single amount. So we want to have, first of all, a little bit of old bread, okay? So soaked in water for 15 minutes. So if you have that, great. If not, I just crumbled some rye crust bread in here that I had. Then we need 100 grams of baking flour. Of course, for our recipe, we're going to double this, 200 grams. Then we need 135 gram rye flour and another 135 grams, so 270. And last but not least, some whole grain flour right here. This is the least amount. This is 40 grams, and we're going to double up this to 80 grams. Then we have a little bit of salt. Salt is 9 grams, so times 2, 18 grams. And then we have a little bit of malt, and the recipe calls for rye malt. Since I did not have this, I did have some from my beer brewing kit, so I have about 6 grams for one recipe, 3 grams of malt. Then we have our bread spice. This is something very German and is in a lot of breads, which is a mixture out of fennel seeds, other couple of things, caraway seeds. I'm gonna put a link below, of course, in our recipe, and we'll also make a video how to make this very easily. It smells very delicious, very rich and flavorful. And then of course we have some yeast. Yeast we need, let me check, 8 grams of yeast. So times 2, 16 grams. And I'm gonna use dry yeast. And of course we need to start with some water. So this is actually exactly what we're gonna do. Today our water needs to be a little more warmer. Recommended is 30 degrees Celsius. That's a little warmer than room temperature yesterday. So we will require 190 grams of water. I'm gonna double this up to 380. Okay. And we're always going to start with the water, because if you work with a kitchen machine today, we want to prevent splashing and lots of other things. Then we will require the 15 grams of old bread times 2 is 30. Okay. Then we add all of our other ingredients: yeast, red spice, salt, of course our malt extract, a little gooey, and a little messy, but this will give us a little bit better color and a little more sweeter flavor, of course. Then, of course, our baking flour, the whole grain flour, and then the 2 rye flour portions, 1 and 2. And then last but not least, of course, our beautiful sourdough that we worked on so intensively for the last couple of days. So we'll add this to our bowl right now. Side. Okay, and in the meantime, while we are actually doing this, I preheated my warming drawer. That is just, I turned it up and let it cool off again. So we will have this as our substitute today in the warming drawer once we're done. This is a much better temperature control at also 27 degrees Celsius, sorry. Now what we're going to do is we want to mix this all up. And since this is a rye bread, we have to be a little careful. We cannot mix this too fast. So what we're going to do is we're going to have this 6-minute mixing at slow. And we're going to stir this 6 minutes, and then the last minutes, the 7th minute, we will do it very fast. This is necessary for the dough to become structural, a lot more flexible, and we'll see that this works out very well. I'm going to actually use my timer right here and time it, and come back in a little while to crank it up. And now we really want to give this the last couple of seconds here, then crank it up a little more to a higher speed. Just want to give this a couple of seconds here. I'm gonna do this a little faster now for 1 more minute. And we are done. There we go. Okay, so now we can definitely see that the dough is nice and gooey and has substance, but a very nice elasticity. So we'll get this all off here. So this is what it looks like right now. Okay. So what we want to do is I'm going to put it back into our bowl. And now we need to give it some time so it can proof up, and we'll bring this back into our warming drawer. Alternatively, of course, you can bring it back to the warm location where the dough was before. But I really want to try the warming drawer today. Okay, get it all out as you can. There we go. I just like to use 2 of these. Makes it a lot quicker, clean, and it has a very nice aroma. So definitely going to be delicious spread. This is how it looks like. And now we need to give this 1 hour to rest. What I'm doing is I'm just going to use a wet cloth, or damp, and we're going to put this right into our warming drawer that was just preheated and then shut down again. So this is about 30 degrees of temperature Celsius, and we'll come back with this and have a look at how our dough looks like here. And we can see it has a nice texture already. We will add some flour here. Of course, it's a rye flour. Now we have the bigger scale out. Why? Because of course we need to work with a little more weight here. So the first thing that we're trying to do is we will separate the whole batch, and we will try to get some small pieces, about 800 grams. So let's get this out. Okay. Here. And today we can use our hands, of course. Okay. Flour up here. So just try to divide this in the middle. Let's see what we come up with. Yeah, 750. Okay. Okay, so let's move this over here. And what we're really trying to do is we want to give it some nice structure and try to kind of push it and tuck it underneath. We have here. Not going to use a lot of power here, just make sure that this is nice and even. Good. Just like this. So what we want to do is, if you have the bread proofing baskets out of wood, it's great. I do not, but I do have these little very cool wooden bowls that also work just as well. Just put it right in here. Cover this up either way with my cloth again, or with a piece of plastic foil that also works just as well. Put it back into the warming drawer or into the warmer room and give it 40 minutes. We'll be right back. And since our bread has been in the warming drawer for 40 minutes, let's get both of them out. Number 1, as you can see, use the Ziploc bag. Number 2, our towel. So let's first see the towel. Okay. Okay, right here. Of course, we want to give this decent amount of flour, rye flour here. To this. Help my spatula. Okay. Better. And Ziploc bag. Okay. So, just gonna bring this in form a bit. Nice. Okay. So we have our two little beautiful breads that we're going to put in the steam oven. I'm going to go to MasterChef, bread, rye bread, bake. Okay, and a little darker. And start on shelf 1. Put these two beautiful breads in. And start now. And let's see what this comes out with. Basically, I have now baking regular batch down here in the oven and this in the oven. So, looking forward to it. So, our bread is done, and why don't we have a look and see? Okay, gently. Very good. Out. Very nice. Right. Okay, so what have we here? It looks very good. So far, got a very nice crust. Let's see if we can get this off easily or not. Okay. Now we want to sit this on a rack. Let this cool off. And here. So this is what the end result looks like, our nice beautiful bread. So we're gonna let these cool off and enjoy them tomorrow. And I hope you had fun with our first part of the baking bread series. And yeah, let me know if you have any questions. I'm gonna put the recipe in the info section, and be sure to subscribe our channel and follow us for more cool recipes to come. And this is how our final result looked like. Unfortunately, the one I used in the bigger oven has been running off a little weird. So this is actually now a flatbread or a brötchen, which is also good. But basically the form was too small. And these two are just beautiful. So we're going to enjoy this tomorrow. Bon appetit, guten appetit. And for more yummy, delicious recipes with the God of Kitchens. Thank you. Oh, look at this crust. Look at the crust. Crusty, delicious.